Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm Majidullah, an assistant professor, Institute of Business Studies, Core University of Science and Technology, and teaching corporate governance and social responsibility to MCOM third semester. Today's lecture is on internal control. Teaching agenda for today's class is internal control, objective of internal control, tools of internal control, internal audit, difference between internal and external auditors, setting internal controls, and whistleblowing. What is internal control? Internal control are the mechanism, rules, procedure implemented by a company to ensure the integrity of financial and accounting information, promote accountability, and prevent fraud. Besides this, complying with laws and regulations and preventing employees from stealing assets and committing fraud. Internal control can help improve operational efficiency by improving the accuracy and timeliness of financial reporting. An internal control scope is not limited only to financial and accounting record. It also extends to other control. These control may be related to human resource management, marketing, and production processes. The objective of internal control is safeguarding of organizational asset. Asset may be from minor asset to till fixed asset, from cash to factory machinery and till boilers. Inventories, other asset, financial assets such as account receivable, liabilities such as account payable, all are in scope of internal control. Internal control is for maintaining the accuracy and reliability of the record. These records are further help in producing financial report. These reports are used by different stakeholders. For example, manager use budgeted figures in order to compare it with the actual, while external shareholders and banks need financial statements in order to see the financial position and financial performance of the company. So scope of the internal control is beyond financial and accounting record. Basically, internal control is implemented in order to increase operational efficiency. This efficiency is achieved by compliance with company policies and by producing timeliness and accurate financial report. What are objective of internal control? Company must have a proper first objective that the company must achieve from internal control is to properly record the revenue. Different company have different revenue resources, so it must be recorded in a proper book of account under a proper head. Expense must be properly authorized and recorded because expense results in payment, and payment is a very sensitive matter. It must be authorized and approved from authorized people. Assets are properly recorded so that the ownership of the company must be substantiated and safeguarded. Safeguard means just like cash and inventory must be safeguarded, and other sensitive assets must be safeguarded and prevented from misuse of the company. Company vehicles be recorded and proper record, logbook, etc. must be maintained. Liabilities record is very much necessary because liability are then results in disputes with external parties. So liability must be recorded. It is the fourth objective of the internal control. Fifth objective is to provision for expected or known losses that would be occur in the future. These potential losses, the company must allocate budget to these expected losses. Maintaining and reporting financial record. Only maintaining is not sufficient, so the objective of the internal control must be to report the financial record on time, accurate, and to the proper stakeholders. And the final objective, while doing all these things, last objective is smooth operation of the company. Tools of internal control can be categorized in four broader control. First, basic control. Second is supervisory control, and third is internal checks or segregation of duties, and final is the fourth one is internal audit. Basic control. Uh, Basic control is basically are laid down in order to ensure that the company transactions are valid and conducted in a proper way. So this is issued through procedure manual. There must be a written procedure manual of each department in each section, which lay down the way in order to carry out any activities. That means in production, safety manual are available, while in finance there is a manual that who is authorized for which task. So procedure manual must be carefully drafted. If it is needed, external consultancy must be hired in order to draft the procedure manual for organizations. The second and basic control is pre-numbering of documents. Organizations have pre-printed and pre-numbering of documents such as checkbook, such as uh, invoices and other pre-printed documents. Example of is receipts, it's credit notes, etc., which facilitate the management in order to sort out everything in proper chronological order. If there is any missing document, it must be traced out through numbering. Secondly, it's prevent the fraud because these pre-printed and pre-numbered documents are kept in custody. Third is total or control account. Subsidiary and control account must be reconciliated for arithmetical accuracy. Cross-check of document. One document must be cross-checked with another. Single document doesn't communicate anything. For example, payment of check must be crossed with order that is placed by the organization and then invoice sent by the organization uh, in response of that order, and then voucher must be checked if it is mm, the transaction was recorded as a liability or not. Then all these documents are cross-checked, which create an audit trail. This audit trail is very much necessary for the verification of the document. Internal document must be checked with the external document. Verification of physical existence of asset is very much necessary. For example, if we have a fixed asset, we must have a proper procedure to physically verify that record of it and its use and misuse, disposal, everything should be properly recorded. So physical verification of cash, inventory taking, these are the area that are very sensitive and there must be procedure or control for verification of these assets. Trial balance is necessary again for mathematical accuracy of posting and recording of financial transaction and accounting. Books, now software is available which give you trial balance on every second. Proper arrangement must be made for physical custody of the assets. Who will keep the custody of the cash? Who will uh, care about the inventory? Who will record it? Who will issue it? What will be the procedures for these all assets? Because assets custody of the asset is a sensitive issues. And the last one is you have a train. You must have the organization must have a trained people for a right job. In finance, we have a trained people. In HR, we have a trained people. In production, we have a trained people. Right people for a right job is one of the tools of internal control. Second tool is supervisory control. Supervisory controls are intended to provide a check over basic controls and may take any of the following forms. Authorization of document. Document must be authorized by an officer for further processing. For example, in payment case, vouchers must be signed by any principal that we have that much liability to any external parties. Approval of the document, these vouchers again be sent to another officer in higher hierarchy to approve a payment. After approval of payment, this document are then sent to another person who will make a check. This check is again sent to two signatories in order to finally pay the amount uh, to the external parties. So these are supervisory control. Supervisors are basically the hierarchy of the management who supervises their subordinates in a proper way. Supervisor review the basic control and remove its weaknesses. The third supervisory control, the rather fourth supervisory control is pre-audit of major expenditure. Major expenditure means those who cross the limit of managers. Let's suppose if a limit is 100,000 rupees for a manager to sign a check, then these major expenditure must be pre-audit in order to ensure that we are going to pay exact and correct amount. After payment, it is very hard to recollect or regain this cash into organization. So it is very necessary pre-audit of major expenditures. And third is internal checks are segregation of authorities. There must be a very well-defined division of responsibilities. Single person must not be allowed to take all the activities. For example, in case of payment, one person should record, the other person should send an place in order, another person should receive the goods and issue a good receive note, other person should record it in a goods ledger and keep it in a store, and there must be another person who is responsible for issuing it, and other person must be responsible to pay against these purchases. So there must be division of responsibility. Limit must be placed on the authority of each employee. For example, in case of payment, 1,000 rupees, if payment of 1,000 rupees is the limit of a manager, then above 1,000, 100,000 rupees payment must be approved or signed by the chief executive officer of the company. So limit must be placed on the authority of an employee. Rotation of the staff is very much necessary, which highlight if there is a person who indulge in a fraud or embezzlement, a new person come to his seat may detect the fraud and report it to the organization. And finally, employees must be encouraged to take annual leave, and if anybody reject or refuse to take annual leave, internal auditor must have a closer look at that person. And the fourth one is, and four tools categories of the and tools of internal control is internal audit. Internal audit is basically it is a very effective tools, and often the large companies afford to have independent internal audit department. Maybe small companies or small firms are unable to afford independent internal audit department. So internal auditors are not reportable in hierarchy of the organization. Internal auditors are not reportable to the managers, not reportable to chief executive, not CFO. The proper place forums to whom internal auditor is report is audit committee at board level. Internal auditor is basically reportable to the board of directors, specifically to the chairman of the audit committee. Examination of accounting record is basically one of the functions of internal audit. Internal auditors basically ensure that all transactions are carried out according to the rules, regulations prevailing in the country. In Pakistan, Company Ordinance 1984, International Accounting Standards, and other Code of Corporate Governance, these are some laws that are ensured that accounting records are preparing according to these reports. basically, internal audit also see that how much company is in make are complying with the basic controls. Basic control procedure manuals are the document that must be followed. Internal auditor make sure that procedure manual or basic control must be followed in a proper way. Internal audit review internal control and where find weaknesses or inefficiency, they suggest it to the board and revise the internal control according to the changes in the environment and circumstances. Uh, internal internal auditor report weakness and loopholes in internal control and report it to the management. Internal auditor also have a two basic function. One is fraud detection and other is rectification of error. Fraud detection is basically there is the internal auditor see where there is non-compliance with the internal controls, or a person who are not willing to rotate their job, a person who refused to uh, reject their annual leave, so who refuse to take their annual leave, they basically have a closer look in these areas, and they rectify any error in the financial record of the company. Uh, Difference between internal and external auditors. There are one is the extent of independence. By and large, internal auditor is employee of the company. It is hired by the HR department of the organization. It works with the uh, other management and feel it is a member of the management of the company. Though internal auditor claim that they are independent, but actually they are influenced by the management. Their job contents are defined by the management. So external auditor is independent. It is appointed by the shareholder in an annual general meeting. So external auditor enjoy more independence than internal auditor, and it supports whatever they find in the system, and they ensure the shareholder that financial statement present true and fair view or not. The other difference is based on interests of uh, internal auditor interest is uh, to have a clean report about the internal control and internal processes of the company, because he also feel accountable and responsible for all these processes and procedures. While external auditor don't have such interest, they are just interested to detect any misappropriation or any deviation from accounting rules or any deviation from laws prevailing in the country, and then report it to the shareholders. So internal auditors have interest that they get unqualified and clean report from external auditors. Scope of the work is quite different. Uh, the extent of work undertaken by the internal auditor is determined by the management, whereas that of external auditor arises from the responsibility placed on him by the laws. Again, internal auditor has relatively greater time at his disposal, and he is therefore able to carry out more detailed checking the activities of the company, while external auditor uh, have very limited time to check the activities, the document, and the work taken by the finance manager or CFO uh, quite in 2.5 months. So scope is quite different between the two auditors. A reliance of external auditor or internal auditors. Work of internal auditor may reduce the work of external auditor. but depend on certain conditions. External auditors see the quality of the staff, means education background, experience of internal audit department, and independence they are enjoying in the company. Second thing, they see that the scope, timing, and frequency that the internal auditor test the company's internal controls. And they also see that they also check, they are examining the evidence that the internal auditor work done is reliable or not. By seeing all these things, external auditor may rely on the work of internal auditor and may reduce its testing to technique. So next topic is setting up internal control. Internal control is basically there must be internal control policies that be drafted or that be formulated by the board of directors. At board level, they must define internal control policies. Then management are responsible to have internal control system at each department, each section and subsection. They should draft and then approve from, draft the procedure manual or draft the internal control system and then get it approved from the board of directors. And third, the organization should train their staff to follow the procedure manual. And fourth, setting an internal control, there must be an environmental culture that make sure that all procedures are followed in letter and spirit. Nobody have no one should above the law. Means no exception should be given to any person to bypass the procedure, to bypass the internal control manual. Board of directors have a responsibility to report internal control to the shareholder. What they will report in annual report or in financial statement, they should report that control environment, risk assessment, how we are going to communicate the information, who are going to monitoring the control system. Meaning board of directors is basically responsible to report to the shareholder on risk assessment first, second control environment, third information and communication, and fourth monitoring. In risk assessment, they should clearly report that we have what are the objectives of the internal control. All objectives are communicated to the concerned people. How much focus have been given to the risk assessment of risk. Our employees clearly understand the risk are not. Control environment, who control, are they independent? Who are authorized to define the internal control? All these responsibilities and accountability processes must be clearly reported to the shareholders. Then the board of directors should communicate that what is the frequency of the report generated by internal control system, how much it is reliable. And last one, what is the proper procedures in monitoring. In fourth one, the board of directors should report that what is the proper procedure that to monitor the internal control system reliability and efficiency. Whistleblowing. What is whistleblowing? Whistleblowing, the term used when workers or employees passes information concerning wrongdoing in a company. Typically, it is called making disclosure to a suitable forum. Means in whistleblowing, employees bypasses the formal authority or formal line of authority to report the misdoing or potential wrongdoing or any fraud or any embezzlement in the organizations. So in whistleblowing, we should carry care about that the disclosure must be deliberate and non-obligatory. Means person who is going to disclose about the wrongdoing must disclose it deliberately, and it is not his obligation. The second point is uh, it is made by the person who have a privilege to access to the information. The third point, the illegality or the wrongdoing may be actually taken, or it is suspected to take place, or it is anticipated to take place in future. Last one point in whistleblowing is uh, may be disclosure made to the outside party that has a potential to rectify the wrongdoings. This may be include regulatory body, professional association, or a media. Even the whistleblowing can be made through uh, internal channel of the organization, like to the board, to the CEO. The second is type of whistleblowing. There are two types of whistleblowing. One is hard whistleblowing and soft whistleblowing. Soft whistleblowing is basically when an organization make disclosures within organization to a proper forum in order to rectify the wrongdoing. It is called internal whistleblowing or soft whistleblowing. Organizations have proper procedures in developed countries for soft in order to handle a soft whistleblowing. Hard whistleblowing when an employee of the company or any persons who make disclosure about the wrongdoing to the person outside the organization. It is called hard whistleblowing. It is necessary to, in order to handle the soft whistleblowing, it is necessary to have a closer look at the type of whistleblowers. There are 7 types of whistleblower. First one is tipster. It is anonymous person who simply send a tip or piece of information about the alleged wrongdoing. It doesn't disclose its identity. Second is squealer. A person has direct knowledge of mainly because he participated in wrongdoing and no exposing it. It is called squealer. The third is witness. A person who discloses the information under an oath or under any court cases. Fourth one is complainant. That is a aggrieved person by the incidents of wrongdoing. The aggrieved person is willing to provide information. And fifth one is mischief maker. This is basically a person who don't have any sufficient information about the wrongdoing, but for personal scoring they are making the whistleblowing. And sixth one is watchdog. It is a group of individuals who meet together to provide information about all alleged wrongdoings. And the seventh one is a reporter, who is a professional reporter, maybe a media person or anyone else who report on wrongdoing to the people. Often these are selfless and guided by their self-conscious in order to make a whistleblow. Importance of handling soft whistleblowing. Why it is important? Often the managers discourage a whistleblowing within an organization because they perceive that if we have a proper channel of internal whistleblowing or soft whistleblowing, it will turn into a complaint center. Everybody will complain. But research shows that those organizations who discourage internal or soft whistleblowing results in very bad consequences. It is a case of Enron, when their board of directors suppresses all internal whistleblowing, and then the environment result in bankruptcy. So it is important to handle soft whistleblowing within organizations. How to handle a soft whistleblowing? There should be a whistleblowing system. So whistleblowing system is basically uh, be there should be proper uh, steps. Now, first organization should uh, appointed should uh, mm, have a proper place where a person should report about the wrongdoing. One way is to report to immediate boss. Maybe your immediate boss is also involved in wrongdoing, how you will report to them. The other approach is to report to the CEO, which is again in line authority, and the persons who are who blew a vessel also face serious consequences. But the proper place where the internal whistleblowers should report is audit committee at board level. A chairman who have no interest in organization, who have no proper position in organization, who is independent, who is impartial, should take the responsibility to receive the report or receive the signal of the whistleblowing. The second is format of the report. What should be the format of the report? Uh, Format of the report about a wrongdoing must be flexible. It should not be mechanistic. Every implies it should be simple so that every implies make or feel it easy to report to the uh, person or to the committee or to the forum in convenient way. Investigate. The third step is in setting up the whistleblowing system is basically procedure of handling the report or investigation. The persons to whom authority or responsibility is handed over must have an authority to inquire every person, either it is internal or external in organizations. Uh, all investigation must be formal and fully documented. The procedure should be clearly spelled out and steps that must be taken during the process. So record of the inquiry must be properly documented. And the fourth one is in setting up the whistleblowing system is confidentiality. All identification of the employees who blew a whistle or who disclose information about a wrongdoing must be kept confidential so that nobody can harm him. Confidentiality is one of the key to have a proper soft whistleblowing system. And the third is stick and carrot. The people who make whistleblowing with honesty must be rewarded and must be protected from retaliation, while those who blow a whistle for their personal gain should be punished. These are the four key steps in order to setting up a whistleblower. Once again, I'm repeating. One is a person to whom employee should report. Second is the format of report. Third is procedure of handling the report and investigation. Fourth is confidentiality, and fifth is taken care of means to punish the people to punish the people who whistleblow for their personal scoring, and to reward those who uh, blow a whistle with honesty. And the last one is what are the advantages of handling soft whistleblowing? Uh, it can save a company from a lot of headache and expenses. It can help management to grab the situation before it gets out of hand. It can give an air of confidence to the employee that they are working for ethical company. Uh, an efficient system can also uh, wipe out the malicious or uh, um, selfish whistleblower or habitual whistleblower. All these steps lead to improved efficiency and better control and workplace. This is all about today's lecture. Thank you.